We are live. Good evening, everybody. And in a teacher schooling fashion, everybody's supposed to say, good evening, Mrs. Conti. No, but in the absence of that. Hello, how are we? Tonight we're talking gin, of course, but we're talking about honey gin. Two wonderful things, honey and gin. We've put them together. So tonight we are streaming on all the Sip and Share pages on YouTube and on our very posh beekeeping friends, the Apiarist, which, despite me writing it and saying it maybe 20 times in the past week, I have spelt it wrong every single time. So the first thing we'll address with said brand owner is spelling and how I can find a way to just remember how to spell the Apiarist. So if you are joining us, say hi, tell me if you're having, what day is it, Wednesday? We're having a wine Wednesday, we're having a little cheeky gin Wednesday, it ends in a Y, are you just having one for fun? So let's see who's on. I'm going to start I'm going to focus, I'm going to make a gin and tonic before I bring Alex on, because I just can't cope with two things. After spilling gin in my last previous conversations, I think I'll make one first. Hi Team Broadbent. Our Apiarist has been delivered today. Kate loves the bag. I know, the bag is so special. I've kept it up super, super high so the kids can't get to it. It's one of them things they'll put paintbrushes in. We'll talk about the bag. We're going to talk about the bag. Hi, good evening. Good evening. Right, let's get one of these poured and I can focus on chatting with Alex. Obviously, I mean, I'm homeschooling, right? I don't need to justify it, but I don't really know what the small end is for, so I only use the top one, which is fine. Right, now the gin's poured. Tonic can't do that much damage. Hi, Rachel. Good evening, everybody. Right, let's see. Now we're in 23 of you. Woo! Let's say hi to Alex. Good evening.
Hi. Hi, Kate. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Oh, look at you with your product placement in the background.
Yes, do you like that?
I love that. Are you joining us in a gin and tonic this evening, Alex? Or
yes, of course, always. Yeah. Also, because I tried 5 minutes of homeschooling today, I gave my wife a break from it, and I decided that it's the worst thing I have ever done. I can see the education sapping away from their eyes. It's terrible.
Don't. I know. I just spend my entire day disappointing them. Disappointing somebody. I am totally with you. So yeah, cheers to
everyone who has to do that. Congratulations, well done.
Congratulations on her. Well, you haven't seen the children or the quality of the work, so I don't think no one can comment on it, whether it's been successful or not. But first things first, put the lid on, Kate. Learn from your past mistakes. Anyway, hello. Oh, Colin Broadbent, we're absolutely buzzing. Nice team. So Alex, hello. Cheers, first of all. Let's have a sip of this. Let's start off by talking about something extra special. First of all, we'll show it to everybody. This is what we're talking about. Now, you are the only brand that don't just deliver a beautiful bottle. We then get some sort of gift bag with it that makes us all go, ah! And I've not brought mine. It's on the top shelf so the kids don't put paintbrushes in it, because that's the sort of thing they'll do, like shove things in it. So tell us about the Apiarist. Tell us about who you are, and then what is this beautiful bag all about? Where did that idea come from?
Sure. So the Apiarist is basically, I guess, is what people are now going to call a lockdown project. Yeah. So my wife and I work in travel, and that's been our main thing for about 12 years or so now. And obviously travel has taken a bit of a hit and a bit of a pause. Let's just say it's a pause for now. And so that meant that what was really a hobby, the beekeeping, became a little bit more important than a hobby. It became a way of sort of, just kind of thinking about something else and being outside and, not thinking about work and stress. And so this is quite therapeutic. And so I kind of started beekeeping a little more than I used to. And then that became an obsession into sort of improving our apiary and improving the way that it works and the hives themselves. And then that meant we made more honey than we'd made before. And that meant, what are we going to do with that? And that brought us onto the gin. That's the short version. But basically, it's like a midlife stress crisis that turns into a product.
Sounds like sip and share. Welcome to my world. We've all done it. We're all doing it. So, and you mentioned this just before we came on. You went on a, as it called, a beekeeping course, but years ago.
Like 10 years ago. So it was like it was an anniversary gift, a nice one, and we both went on this course, and it was several weeks, and it was all theoretical. So we never really handled any bees. We just kind of learned about them, and they're so fascinating. And we sort of get home at the end of it and go, oh, love to have a hive. It sounds awesome. And then we never really could because, we either didn't have the space or then we had the kids, and they're way more work than a hive. And so we got to the stage where we're never going to have a beehive. And then about 2.5, 3 years ago, we finally, the planets aligned, the kids are old enough. We had a bit of space outside, and we thought, yeah, let's do it. So that's when we started. And then it's like any hobby. It becomes for a while a little obsession because you're just learning something new every day, and it's challenging and it's different, and it's not sitting in front of a computer. And you start get really embedded into it, and then you get the honey, and then the first time you get some honey from it, you're super excited, and it's amazing.
I did with eggs. I remember this. I remember the eggs. The first time we got eggs, the balls of what? So you get your honey, and then. But
we get the honey, and the first thing we do is obviously eat as much of it as we can, and then because it's lockdown, there's lots of people walking past the house, and it's all the summer was okay, right? People could walk around, and it was all right. So we stuck the kids outside with a little table and all the leftover honey that we thought we could sell, and within an hour it was all sold, and we thought, oh gosh, maybe there is a tiny source of income here from this product. But making honey itself was quite laborious, and then it just felt like we could maybe do something else as well. And so we just mulling some ideas, and obviously we quite like gin, as I'm sure that everybody else listening does. And so we just came up with this concept of trying to build it into a gin, but we were really worried about sweetness, and the sort of sickliness that honey can give. When you make a honey flavored product, it's not honey, right? It's just it can feel sickly and not great. Yeah. So we were really trying to do something that really was difficult to achieve, I think. We wanted the honey gin that gave the character of the honey, but without an overpowering honey flavor. And so, then it became like an R&D experiment for like a month. All we did was just test and try, and that was kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
And a good way to spend lockdown if anybody else is looking for ideas. And then the Apiarist was born from that.
Brilliant. Honey, beekeeping like you said, when you got the bees, we got the chickens, and that was just. But we can't make gin out of eggs. I think it's being innovative.
I don't know, you could try eggshells or something. I don't know.
Oh, we're going quite niche there. So tell us about what's in it. So we know it's gin and we know it's honey, but what are the botanicals in it that make up the flavor profile?
Yeah, so I mean botanicals are it's a difficult one, because if I tell you the botanicals, you're going to feel like there's not much in it. And the reality is that there is not much in it. Yeah. I think, we use 4 botanicals. It's not a lot. Orris root, coriander, lemon peel, juniper, that's it. That's it. So what we did with the gin was basically said, look, let's strip it down to the bare essentials. Let's make a London Dry style gin, but really just the bare essentials, and then we'll play with the character of the honey, and we'll infuse it with that. So that was the first thing. We just stripped it right down to basics. We then infused with the honey, and then that gave a particular product, and that was our first draft, if you like. Yeah. And it was weird because so honey doesn't really give it a color by itself. You just get this kind of cloudy, shimmery silver thing, and we thought, oh, cool. Maybe we'll do a shimmery, silvery thing, and then we just couldn't quite, because then the pollen sort of starts to settle and it looks weird, and we got this impression that people would send it back and go, oh no, this has got stuff in it. What's this? Yeah, exactly. So then we became obsessed with color, because it's we wanted to achieve a sort of color, but we don't want to use anything that isn't natural. We didn't want to add additives or colorants or anything like that. And so then we thought about black tea. Right. And that's effectively where the color comes from, and where you get this sort of smooth finish. So it's a tea that I think if you look on the website, you can see a few pictures of it close by, and you can see the color. Maybe I can bring one in. And that's it. I don't know if you can see it from there. But it's, yeah, there you go. It's a slightly different color. Look, every batch is slightly different, which I guess is another interesting thing.
Well, when you're dealing with a natural product, that's the inevitability of it, isn't it? Anything that's got fruit or natural, anything that settles, there is an inevitability with that. And anything that's small batch craft products anyway, you're always going to get that slight difference.
Yeah, so because we distill to taste rather than to look, and so you're trying to achieve the same, taste every time, and that's sometimes means you're using less of something or more of something else, and so and winter and summer makes a difference. It's just really interesting. So. Yeah, the color's going to be slightly different, but the flavor will always be the same. And and the tea is how we get the color. So that's basically what's in it. Very, very little, but yeah, that's really what's happening.
Nice, clean, simple, pure, and it tastes beautiful. I think that's the most important thing. We're all very happy with the taste of it, and I know that there's only one bottle left. You kindly gave us a special discount for Sip and Share members, and there's only one bottle left.
I know. I'm sorry I couldn't do more. I want to do loads, but of course we've run out. We've completely run out. So I think there's one bottle left with you. We've only got one bottle left, and then we sold out. We did a very limited edition forager version, which sold out immediately. And so we don't have enough. So I'm trying to make more. But of course, everything's dependent on the bees, and so it takes a little bit of time.
Come on, bees!
Well, it's a bit like your chickens. You can't just sit there. Come on, make an egg now. I need an egg. So it's a little bit like that. But there's more coming soon, and there's a batch being released the end of the first week of March.
Nice. Well, I don't doubt for a second as this membership group grows, we'll be tapping you up like this. Could you go and get those bees, please, and hurry up because we are enjoying this project, this product. Where is it?
Somebody mentioned about swarms. Sorry, I'm just looking at the comments there. I just got distracted.
Oh yeah,
someone mentioned about swarms. It's a great thing. Swarms, yeah. So one of our hives produced a swarm last year accidentally. I won't bore you into the details, but we rescued this little swarm. It was like a football. And that's doing really well. It's overwintering now, and so that will be producing this summer. But it was like a great gift of nature, right, to find the swarm. So
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
my imagination has got like, do you remember in the 90s the kids' cartoons with like they're running around with a big net trying to catch things? That's my knowledge.
That's it. So basically, at a certain time of the year, spring, early summer, the bees get really, the population of the colony gets massive. And so they start to naturally look to swarm, which basically means that half of your hive will fly off and create a new nest somewhere else.
Right, okay.
Part of a sort of a beekeeper's job is to keep an eye on that, because you don't want to have swarms continuously happen. You lose a lot of your original colony and you don't produce as much. And so, but you get phone calls sometimes when people know that you've got bees. You get phone calls from farmers or what have you and say, there's a big bunch of bees there under a tree. Do you want to come and get them? To which you say yes, please, because they'll come back and you can nurture them into a colony for next year.
Oh my life! Oh, question. That is It's a bee question. How many flowers? This is a specific question. I'll laugh my head off, Alex, if you can answer this. This will be your knowledge tested. How many flowers do the bees have to visit to make enough honey for a bottle of gin?
Yeah, we calculated that, funnily enough. So it's a really good question.
There we go.
So roughly, it's about 100,000 flowers. For the honey that goes into one bottle, which is roughly about 4,500 miles of flight. So that's how much flight mileage goes into it, and how many flowers. Which is why I think we talked a little bit before we went online about the differences between different batches of honey. The pollen within that honey is totally different each time because they forage different flowers at different time of the year. And different areas have different flowers availability. And so the honey that goes in it is always different.
Yeah.
And so maybe the taste will be the same, but the pollen that's in it is really specific to that one batch of honey, to that one hive, that one place.
So this links us on really nicely to, I was on your website a moment ago, and I live in Cheshire, in South Cheshire, and I saw a Cheshire edition, and I went, oh, as you do when you recognise where you live. And so you have a hive in Cheshire, not in North Cheshire, and what you're using the honey from that, and you just like a bit more R&D. You're just gonna see if that tastes any different or what that produces because of exactly what you've just said. That's
exactly right. So what we're going to do is make exactly the same gin, same recipe if you like, and we're going to see if having a completely different environment will make a difference to it, because it does when you buy honey. People buy local honey, particularly if you suffer from hay fever, and you buy honey because you want to take some pollen in from your local environment. Now, I don't think it's going to affect the taste in any kind of meaningful way. It might make a slightly different color. Ultimately, because we distill to taste, I don't think it's going to make a huge amount of difference. But it's a really exciting way to try. And then, you can basically buy a version that's local to you, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And it's got the pollen from your local area. So, can we say it's good for hay fever, maybe? Well, it's a hay fever remedy is what I'm getting at.
I mean, if I have severe hay fever and I basically take every medicine going and then rub honey over my entire head. And what I love now is I can just dunk my face in like a shallow bowl of gin.
Exactly,
and, well,
nothing wrong with that.
Knock me out and I won't worry about the eyes and the head, and be fine. So that Cheshire, kind of that regional batch, is in progress at the moment. Have you taken the honey? I mean, you have to excuse the naivety of the time.
It's in production now, so that will be available mid-March.
Brilliant.
Then it's going to be super limited because it's only that one hive. So we're gonna give it a go. I think we're making 60 bottles of that, and that's it.
This is me representing the twitching of all the Sip and Share members going, quick.
You can pre-order it now. I think you can go on our website and pre-order it.
Oh, right. Okay, right. We'll drop your website link on here afterwards, definitely. So what else is in the pipeline, on the roadmap? Have you got any other stuff? Is Forager, the Forager? Tell us a bit about
let me show the Forager, because that's got a cool colour that I think you enjoy. So that
different bottle as well. We got a pink.
Okay, don't focus too much on the bottle because that's going.
Okay, ignore it.
But
Pinky
it's pink. It's really hard to see. It's like, there you go. So it's everyone has to make a pink gin, right? That seems like a thing. So there's a bit of that in there. But really, foraging is really interesting. I'm sure that anybody who likes nature or walking or will be interested at some point in foraging. It's amazing how much stuff you find that you can't eat or use as botanicals. And so the way we approach that is also very similar. Again, we stripped the gin down to the minimum essential to get the sort of profile that we wanted. Then the honey goes in. So far the process is exactly the same as the Apiarist. The only thing that's different is rather than using black tea, we use a forager tea, which I can't go into loads of details about what's in it because it's a kind of secret blend. But the color comes from blackberries, I can tell you that. There's all sorts of leaves of interesting things, and it's
so we got the bush. We got the bush of stuff we like. That looks edible. It looks interesting. So the flavor profile of the forager then, is it pink? Is it berry-ish, honey and berry-ish?
Yeah, it is. So you still have that kind of lemon and honey play in the background, but it's got this sort of berry finish, which is kind of neat. We let the color just infuse naturally to see if we can get a natural pink. It's so it's not a bright pink; it's quite subtle. But again, all the flavors are really subtle and balanced because there's nothing like you can always tell when someone uses stuff they shouldn't. You always know when something has been flavored. And so we don't like that. And I just think you got to be able to make something that people want to drink on its own, on ice, or with just tonic, and not mess with it. And so it's a really interesting profile, and that's going to be available soon. We're just making a very small batch again. So that is the immediate stuff, which is another batch of Apiarist, the Cheshire blend, and the Forager, which are coming out soon. And then there's a secret, and this is going to be the wrong place to say this, but no one knows about this. But it's not a gin. We're going to make a rum.
Yes,
used with our honey.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh, well, thank God I put a rum section on the Sip and Share members' shops then the other day. Wonderful.
Sorry, it's not gin specific. Gin is still our main core love, but we're excited about rum. We had, for our core business, we did a lot of stuff in Cuba, and we always enjoyed, Cuban rum, and we always thought, could we make something here in the UK, maybe in a sort of non-traditional way, and then kind of see if we can make it work with our honey. And so far so good. I think that's going to be out soon. It's a really interesting product again.
Oh,
that one's got a problem with color though. can't quite get the color right, and I don't want to infuse it with anything else because the flavor is perfect. So you might find that it's going to come out and it's going to be a little bit lighter. Well, basically, the problem is they all end up looking like weed, don't they? That's what the problem is. That's basically the problem with everything.
Well, yeah, at different levels of hydration.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just, there's nothing I can do about that. It's, it's going to always look a bit like that. But then
it's honey. It's honey. What do we expect?
Oh, someone mentioned whether the color comes through the still. It doesn't. No, our first batch is with this shimmery, silvery color, which was coming straight through the still. And so, we had to make a decision early on that we didn't want a shimmery, silvery gin, but we wanted one that kind of at least evoked honey a little bit. But the first trials were really interesting. I mean, it was a fantastic gin, really drinkable and enjoyable, but it was just a weird color. So
yeah, and there's a whole buy with your eyes thing, isn't there? As you well know. So talking of buy with your eyes, talk to us about the beautiful bag, because that was kind of one of my highlights of unboxing moments, I think, when I went, they've accidentally put a beautiful bag in. What's the situation? So who had that idea? Where did they come from? Why did you do that?
Yeah, so that's that's a really weird, that's another sort of weird lockdown thing. That's my mother-in-law that came up with that. And so basically between my mother and my mother-in-law, they had sort of spare material around the house, sort of like, cut-offs from bits and curtains and pillows and things like that. Yeah. So we sort of collected all of that because obviously we're all about reusing things. Mm-hmm. And then we sort of said, well, maybe it could be made into a bag that could go as a, with the gin to keep it safe, actually mostly just to keep it from scratching or the label scratching or what have you. And so that's how it originally came about. But, they're all different, and that's kind of exciting because you can order 10 bottles and get 10 different bags. There's no two bags are the same.
Well, you should have heard me when I was on the phone to Ness, and Nessie when we did the Instagram cocktail the other week.
Yeah, that was cool.
Before that, when we both opened our box, I rang her immediately. I was like, "Have you got a bag?" Because I had that moment of, "Am I just extra special?" And then I was like, "Yours is different. You've got a bag." Because we had like 5 minutes of excitement over getting our head around this beautiful bag, which feels like a gift with your gift inside it. So it was a really, really nice touch. And yeah, I loved the fact that they were different. It had a proper kind of artisan small.
Yeah, they're all slightly different sizes as well because they keep changing. Because the offcuts are what they are, so they're trying to adapt to make bags fit within the offcuts. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So one last thing then, and there is one bottle over your shoulder that we've not talked about.
This is a random one. You'll love this. We did this for Christmas. Do you know what that says?
No, I'm rubbish.
Come on, think about it. What's that?
Beer.
Beer. Yeah, that's it.
Do you know what? I only said beer genuinely, not because I figured it out, but because I remembered it from seeing it on your website.
Oh, right, okay. All right, no.
I would have been there for 10 minutes. There's no. I'm rubbish again.
The beer was a Christmas thing. We did it in collaboration because everyone's been struggling, right? It's a really tough time for loads of people, particularly hospitality. So because we had friends in hospitality and particularly in the pub trade, we've all been struggling. So we decided that what we could do is commission a beer from a pub that was basically not operating anymore, but still had the facilities to brew.
Okay.
And so we gave him some honey, and he messed around with it, and we got an ale from it, which is delicious. It's really, surprisingly delicious. And that, that was literally no testing, no R&D. It came out, it was fantastic, it was perfect. So we bottled it, and we sold it at Christmas. And then we had to stop selling it because I was running out and Christmas was coming, and I thought it'd be nice to have some of that before it all goes. And then now we've just released, I think, 10 packs of 3, so there are 30 bottles left. That's it. There won't be any more of that. We may do another one next Christmas, but probably not. So if you're into beer, but the only catch with that is we can only deliver it locally, only within 15 miles of Lichfield, because it just does not travel.
Yeah.
And it's very, very delicate.
And no amount of beautiful bag is going to protect.
No. If you move it too much, you can hear this. minutes. And
oh, no.
So it's really delicate.
So we've got the second load. We've got the forager on the go. We've got the Cheshire, the batch of using the bees that using it honey from Cheshire, and then your rum. Is it any timings on the rum? Did you say timings of when that might?
Let's say, I'm quietly hopeful that we can get it out in a couple of weeks.
Well, this is exciting. We might be back with the rum, showing a rum.
We'll be back with the rum. Yeah. For
sure. Lovely. Oh, well, thank you so much, Alex. As I said, we have one bottle left. Oh my good Lord. And somebody needs to buy it, because as I do say this to members, if you don't buy it, I will buy it and keep it. And that is, we are running out of space. That's not kind of an acceptable thing for me to do. So, yeah, go and get your hands on this. And then if we can get members, if we can get more, if we can get rum, or if we can get other fun, beautiful stuff, then we certainly will. So thank you so much for that special offer, Alex. Thanks for letting Nessie and I do our cocktail thing on the other day. The mess in my house.
I know, it's mad.
Nessie and I do a session. So yeah, right, well, we might see you again then with a different sort of product in hand. We look forward to that day.
Good. All right, lovely. Thanks
for joining us, everybody. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Bye-bye. Bye.